I am so excited about this message. It's probably going to be short and whatever, but I have to tell you about this because it blessed me so much. And I pray that it blesses you. Have you found yourself sometimes in a place where you think, I don't know how I ended up here because I thought I did everything right. I don't understand, God. Like, why am I in this place? Why am I in this dark place when I thought I did what you told me to do? I thought that I was doing everything that was for you. And where did I go wrong? And is this your discipline? Are you mad at me? Did I like, what's going on? Well, I found myself in a place like that recently where I was just literally serving the Lord day and night, doing everything I thought he was telling us to do, and living everything out through the scriptures, and pointing everything back to him, and making sure that everything was Christ centered, and walking in love, and all the things that I thought we're supposed to do when I read the scriptures, family, community, unity, love, faithfulness, Christ-centeredness, everything's about him, serve, give, do just felt like we were doing it all like we were supposed to the best of our ability, considering A, we're imperfect, and B, we all learn as we go, and C, we temp make. So we have a lot of irons in our fires because we're also out, we run a business. And so we had that on top of everything else that we were doing. And so, but we were trying to cover like every base, and making sure that we were truly living that authentic biblical idealism of Christianity. And then all of a sudden it was like gone, literally, just like everything that we were doing, like we had to let go of all of it. We knew that we had to let it go, and found ourselves feeling like we're in prison, like in this darkness, like in this place of like not understanding, not couldn't figure out why we found ourselves here. And so my husband and I are going through the scriptures. We decided this year we were going to do Genesis to Revelations together in the mornings. We've never done that before. We're together. We have read the Bible all the way through. And so we are going to do that this year. We're just going all the way through the Bible together. And so we're, in the end of Genesis, and of course we're reading about Joseph. And how many times I read Joseph? I've read Joseph so much, lots of times. Not only Joseph, but I remember, Sunday school, you learn about Joseph, and Joseph, 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 right? The coat of many colors. And so we're reading about Joseph, and as I'm reading, as we're reflecting, and we're talking, and praying about what we're reading about, I got this idea. I was just like, Joseph did everything right. He he didn't find himself in the place that he was at because of everything he did wrong. It's not his fault he was the favored son of Jacob, and that he got the coat of many colors. It's not his fault that he had a dream from God. I mean, his brothers were already jealous of him, and then he has this dream that basically he's going to reign over them. And so he tells them about the dream, and I figure he's the second to the youngest. So here's this baby brother, like, hey, and they were already, like I said, jealous of him because of his favor. And then, so then they're like, we're going to conspire against him. And so they throw him in a pit to die. And then they decide, well, maybe we better not let him just die in the pit. That way we don't have the blood on our hands. So they pull him back up out of the pit and sell him to the Ishmaelites as a slave. And then ultimately the Ishmaelites sold him over to Egypt. Okay. And so again, what did he do wrong? Right? He was just born, basically. So, and not saying Joseph's perfect, but in the overall picture, it wasn't that he did something wrong. It wasn't that he was under God's discipline for doing something wrong. So then he finds himself, and he gets sold to Potiphar, and he ends up working at Potiphar's home. And Potiphar had saw that God's favor was on him, and that everything he touched was turned to gold, basically, that he just was very favored by his God, which is the God of Israel. And so he made him the headmaster and made him the head of the household and gave him a very prominent position in his home. And so here's Joseph. He's in this foreign land, and he's still going to honor his God, and he's going to live rightfully with integrity, and God has favor on him. Well, he was a handsome young man, and Potiphar's wife had a wandering eye, right? So she took a liking to Joseph, and she thought he was kind of cute. And so she's like, I'm going to try to get him to bed down with me. And so she does. She tries to seduce him, and he absolutely refuses. And I have to give it to Joseph even with that. Here's a single man, hormones. Come on. I mean, nothing changed from then to now. The hormones are there. And here's this prominent woman, and I'm sure she was very attractive. And he says, no, 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 no. I not only which is the most vital part, I love God too much to defile myself against him. But I know he loved his master, and he was not going to do something to hurt his master. He was a dedicated employee. He had respect and honor for the position in which he was in and the position of his employer, and he was not going to dishonor his employer by sleeping with his wife. And so I thought, man, that's beautiful. Like, look at that integrity, look at that character. He was reflecting in a foreign land, the integrity and the character of God, and he's staying faithful to God. And I'm sure it wasn't easy. I'm sure that the temptation was there. And so she decides, well, she tries to like seduce him again, and now he's just like, he's running out the door. Like his garments left behind. He runs so fast and so furious. There's a lesson in that. That's not what this topic is on today, but there's a lesson there. When you are faced with temptation, it says to flee from the devil. That's what Joseph did. He ran as fast as he could in the opposite direction of the temptation of the devil. And we need to do that. We need to start fleeing. We need to start running. Let's just start running when that temptation arises, when you want to do what you are not supposed to be doing. We need to start fleeing and run. But okay, back to the story. So he runs from Potiphar's wife, and so now she's mad. Her ego is hurt. Her ego was just deflated. Like, who do you think you are? I'm this woman of means and whatever, and you're going to reject me. And so she lied and said that he tried to sexually assault her, and she had his garment. So she had some physical proof in her mind, even though there was no proof other than she was able to get his garment. And so he ends up in prison. And so here he is in prison. And I had to think, man, but he was praising the Lord. He was God's favor was still on him. But what I really thought about at that moment, you guys, which is what I really want you to take away from this, is Joseph did everything right. And yet he was still in prison. He was still in a place where he didn't belong, where he didn't think that he deserved it or should be there. But he didn't give up on God. Praise God. We can't give up. Yes, we should always self-reflect. Like, is there something that I could have done differently? Is there something I should have done differently? Is there something that, is it, but because there's always a lesson to be learned in everything. But sometimes we do everything right and we still find ourselves in these places. So the story goes on. Joseph happens to be in prison with the baker and the butler that were also in prison from Pharaoh. And they have these dreams. And so he interprets the dreams, and they go, and then he says, all I ask you to do is tell Pharaoh about me. Tell Pharaoh about, that I'm here. And I did that. Well, typical man's nature, they didn't do that. One died, one was killed, and the other one survived. So they didn't immediately tell Pharaoh. But then 2 years later, so here's Joseph still in prison for 2 years. Now he made the best of it. Don't get it twisted. He ended up getting promoted and was like the head of all the prisoners, and Still had favor. Everywhere Joseph went, he had favor because he walked in integrity, he walked in character, and he was honorable to his God. And so God gave him favor no matter where he was and what situation, no matter where he found himself, whether he found himself in the pit, whether he found himself because he had God's favor, because God took him out of the pit and then sold him into to the Ishmaelites. From there, he gets sold into all the places. He gets sold to Potiphar, and so he always was in favor, always had God's favor because he was obedient and he had integrity and he had character, whatever he did. And so here, Pharaoh has a dream that no one can interpret, and then all of a sudden, the baker is like, "Oh, I remember. There's this guy in prison that can interpret dreams." And he's like, "Well, bring him to me." And so Joseph ends up interpreting the dream for Pharaoh. And here the dream was about the fact that there was going to be a 7-year season of prosperity where, everything was going to be good. And then there was going to be a 7-year drought that was going to be really bad. And so Joseph said, what I would do is I would store up for the next 7 years, take so much of the plenty and store it up for when the 7-year drought comes, we have plenty to feed the people and take care of everything that he's taken care of. So we won't go without. And of course, Pharaoh was so impressed by this that he gave Joseph, literally promoted Joseph from prisoner to his second in command, like his right-hand man, second in command of everything. Okay. He went from prisoner to, royalty basically. And again, his integrity. But here's the thing, God used him because when the 7-year drought came, he, through his provision of saving up for 7 years in the plenty, he was able to, it saved the nations from starvation and death that came to Pharaoh for food, because Egypt was the only place that had food and had provision. And so Joseph's brothers end up coming back and the whole story, and the nation of Israel, it wasn't quite the nation of Israel yet, but was going to be the nation of Israel, obviously. And that's how they ended up in Egypt. But the nation of Israel was saved and preserved, God's chosen people, because of God having Joseph right where he needed him to be. And so I want you to take this away. Sometimes it's because we did everything right that God allows us to go through these trials and tribulations, that he tears everything back down so that he can reestablish the way that he needs it to be for the future of the purposes for others. So for me, I know that he had to take everything back down to the beginning to take away so that he may reestablish how he wants things to be his way. And though I may have found myself in this prison, in this dark place, in this place of just going, why, Lord? I am so confused right now. I don't understand. I walked in your integrity, your character. Everything was biblical and scriptural. I know we were doing what you told us to do. I'm so confused. And it's not because we did anything wrong. Again, not that we were perfect. I'm talking about in the whole picture, the big picture. It's so that God can now use us to go and touch more lives, to go and do what we are called to do. We were faithful with little. We were faithful with what he gave us. We were faithful to his word. We were faithful to him. We were faithful to the people. There's no doubt in my mind that we were completely faithful, and that we served and we loved and we gave and we did everything that the God had commanded us to do. And because of that, though we found ourselves in prison, though we found ourselves in a situation much like Joseph, like I don't understand. I turned away from these things. We never, we didn't come in, we didn't give in to the temptations. We didn't, and it was so the nations could be saved by using Joseph to save the nation of Israel. And So whatever it is you're going through, or when you find yourself in those seasons, because we're all, as a Christian, you're going to hit those seasons. Either you've already been in that season and you've come out, or you're going to go into one of those seasons and you're going to get to that like question, like, I don't understand. I thought I did it all. I thought I did it right. I thought this is what I thought. I was listening. I thought, and then you realize you did do everything right. And God is so proud of you. He is so proud of you. But you've also proved your faithfulness. You've proved that you have integrity and character and that you are sold out to him and him alone, and that you will not be compromised and you will not compromise for anyone. And now he's going to use you. He's going to use you to help more people, to do more, to touch more lives and more souls that you couldn't have done if you would have just stayed in Israel. If you wouldn't have been thrown in the pit and then sold into slavery and then put in the prison, right? And so we go through these things. Not only does it grow us as people, it grows us in our character and our integrity, but it grows our perseverance. Joseph never quit. He never stopped believing in God. He never stopped believing in who God was, and he never stopped walking in that integrity and that character. And he couldn't see the future. He didn't know what God was going to do and all this, but he trusted God in every phase. He trusted God in the pit. He trusted God when in the slave market. He trusted God in Potiphar's house. He trusted God in the prison, and he trusted God when he was promoted. He always trusted God and he never turned away, and he always kept his integrity and his character. And that is what we are called to do. Keep your integrity, keep your character, and trust God, and know that he is going to use all of this to be able to touch more lives, to be able to use you in ways you never thought imaginable, in a way that he couldn't have used you had you have not done everything right and yet still ended up in prison. Grow and learn what you need to learn through this season. Reflect in whatever it is you need to reflect. Let Holy Spirit teach you and guide you and show you, and let the word of God talk to you during this time. The word of God has been so comforting during this time. He just continues to speak to me through the word. He continues to speak to my husband through the word. He comforts us through the word. He continues to show us himself through the word. And our worship, it's just growing deeper. Our love for him is just growing deeper. Our trust in him is growing deeper. And our perseverance to keep going is growing stronger. Because nothing, until God decides to take us out, nothing's going to take us out. We are going to continue to serve the Lord our God with all of our heart, all of our mind, all of our soul, and all of our strength, no matter where he has us, whether he has us in the prison or he has us in promotion. Either way, we're going to serve him with integrity and character, and we're going to trust him the whole way through, so that we can be used to serve others, so that we can be used to save souls. And that is what it's about, sisters. It is not about us. It is about his kingdom and his kingdom purpose, and doing his will and his work. I pray that blessed you today. God bless you. I love you. I love you all so much. Lord, I just pray that this message has blessed somebody today, that this message has said, you know what? I have found myself in prison. I was asking myself why. And now I just know that God's going to use it for his glory, and big promotion is coming. The promotion is coming because I'm trusting God. I'm walking in integrity. I'm walking in character, and I'm walking in perseverance. And I'm going to continue to serve God no matter what's thrown at me, no matter what happens, no matter what the devil throws at me, no matter what God allows. I am going to continue to serve him until my dying breath. And trust me, sisters, if you are sold out to that, you are going to go. And so, Lord, just bless them, touch them, keep them, shine your face upon them. I just pray blessings over each and every one of them. I pray, Father God, that you are developing in them the character and the integrity of Jesus Christ and the perseverance to make it all the way to the end. God bless you. Amen.